Let's freaking go. We have so much to get to tonight. It is the transfer portal eve. All right. Breathe in, breathe out. And it's actually early signing day eve. But we have a lot to talk about, right? We're going to talk about Walker Howard tonight. Our patrons already got to see what I had to say about Walker Howard. Join us, patreon.com/LSU football. We're going to talk about what LSU has lost in the transfer portal and to the NFL draft tonight. Obviously, the biggest news of the day is JAQUELIN Roy has decided to go to the NFL draft. That was expected. But the biggest story of the past hour is that LSU has landed not one, not two, but three defensive linemen from the portal all ready to replace JAQUELIN Roy. As we welcome in Rico, Jared, TOV, Laura, John Sibley, Butler, my homie Wobble. What's up, Vic? Good to see you. Tony, Mr. Big Boy, Branson, Skipper, Brett. Some of my favorite PHLers are already in here. You know it's a big night tonight. So first important announcement for this lovely evening is tomorrow we will do a live stream at 8:05 Central. Because tomorrow is such a big day. It is the early signing period. And we will do a Thursday night live stream as well. So you guys know I rarely do Wednesday night live streams. I know a lot of you have your own Wednesday things. I know a lot of you are deeply religious. You go to church. You watch other things on Wednesday night, whether it be some show with Shamar Moore in a city, 90216, whatever the case may be. But tomorrow night, because it is a big day in LSU football, we will do a live stream because obviously tomorrow morning we will know the fate of Isaac Smith, a 4-star safety out of Mississippi. And then on Thursday, we will know the fate of the big one, Desmond Ricks. So once again, Wednesday night we will have a live stream. Okay, we got Gumbo and Soda. That's right, my homie right there. What's up, Tyler? Good to see you. Ed, good to see you. Nolan, J Red, LSU on fire in the portal. Once again, anything you want to talk about tonight, guys and gals, feel free to super chat. We go straight to the topic. If not, I am just going to ramble because I'm in a great mood right now. JAQUELIN Roy goes to the NFL, okay? Obviously, really bad news for us because he is a very, very, very good football player. And obviously, his sophomore year was probably a little bit more productive than his junior season, but they did ask him to play differently. He was playing a slightly different role and a slightly different position. We can get into the mechanics of defensive line play. I don't think that's why you guys are here. But JAQUELIN Roy was a very good football player for us this year. And he was a very good football player for 3 years as a 3-year contributor, 2-year starter. And there was more weight he had to carry on the very first drive of the year when Mason Smith tore his ACL celebrating. So obviously there is a lot to like about JAQUELIN Roy's decision to go to the NFL draft. This is a guy who's played a lot of football. It's a lifelong dream to go to the NFL draft. He is a former top 100 recruit. So obviously that is a massive, massive, massive loss. But you do get 3 pickups here. Braden Swinson, who will play the BJ Ojolari role. Paris Shand, who is more so a defensive end, if you will, but also a defensive tackle. He's going to play the Ali Gay strong side in position in Matt House's defense. So sometimes you play what's called a 4-eye technique if you play that role. So that is a little bit of a mix of a DT and defensive end. Think Tyson Jackson, if you will, and Jalen Lee, even though Tyson Jackson played more of a traditional end, still, Paris Shand is a different player than Jalen Lee. So I say that to, make sure there's no confusion there. Jalen Lee is your traditional defensive tackle. right? So think Mekhi Wingo, that type of player. Now, I will say this. I've watched quite a bit of Braden Swinson and Paris Shand, and it's fine. It's not like spectacular stuff. But what I will say, and I have not watched Jalen Lee just yet, what I will say is two things. Number one, they played hard. It wasn't as if these guys weren't good. They were Division I starters in the Pac-12. The second thing is, I'm going to be honest with you, and Blake knows this. You guys know this. I've said it here on this channel. Mekhi Wingo's true freshman season at Missouri was fine. It was not as good as it was like what he did this year. There was a transformation, and you see Mekhi Wingo won all these awards for being the hardest worker on the team. He won the in-season award for it. He won the off-season award for it. So he put the work in and became a better football player. So Paris Shand, honestly, was, I think, the better player than Braden Swinson, just based on what I watched. Shand remained a starter. I think Swinson became more of a backup as the season went on. But according to Brody Miller, LSU felt as if Swinson was playing out of position for Oregon. So obviously, I think the world of two players I want to come play for, obviously, all our dream schools, and we'll see what these guys can do. Once again, I've not watched much Jalen Lee. I've more focused on Swinson and Shand, as last week I started hearing that there was more of an opportunity that LSU would land both of them. Now, the one thing about Jalen Lee is that he is originally from Louisiana. Swinson is originally from Georgia, and Shand, my mind has gone blank. So we go to the first super chat of the evening. Thank you so much, Bruce. Bowl game scenarios at quarterback. JD5 plays and see if he could start throwing down the middle, or Nelson Walker play to see what you got. I'm going to stay by what I have said this entire bowl season. I'm glad to call Bruce a friend. He's one of our sharpest viewers. I do believe Jayden Daniels should be taken very easily going into this bowl game. I do think the ankle injury he had versus Georgia was a re-aggravation of the ankle injury he had versus Texas A&M. So it's, instead of it necessarily, just being sore after the game, I think he did hurt it again, if that makes sense. I'm not a doctor. But, for me, I think, depending on Jayden's health, he doesn't miss games. He is one of the most durable quarterbacks, honestly, we've ever seen in Division I college football. I think Brian Kelly wants him to play. I do. And just knowing people close to Jayden, he's going to play. This is honestly the best attribute Jayden Daniels has as a quarterback. He is a gamer. He is a guy that doesn't miss games. He is a tough son of a gun. So, yeah, I don't know if I would play him, though, because of this reason. We got to make sure this thing doesn't get hurt worse than what it is now. And then also you have the other side of this. You get to see what you have with Garrett Nussmeier and Walker Howard. Obviously, you see the title of the video with Walker Howard being attached to this. There was last night, I shared this in the Discord. Walker Howard did remove all his photos off of Instagram, and this morning he put 2 of them back on. I've always said this about the Instagram deletion thing. Don't overreact to it. It's one of those things where, hey, it's gone. He's moving on from us. It's just not the truth. Kyler Murray did the same thing, and he stayed with the Cardinals. I do think Walker Howard will stay with LSU. I do. But obviously, if Jayden decides to come back, which I think he is going to do, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. So I would like to see Walker Howard play. I would like to see Garrett Nussmeier play, and that way LSU can see what they have. So we'll see. Yes, Paris Shand. Okay, this did come back to me. He is Canadian. How about that? Shout out to all the Canadian legends. Okay, who are all the Canadian legends? Okay, so we all know who number 1 is. All right, right now in the chat, name the number 1 Canadian legend. Not sports, just in all walks of life. Who is the number 1 Canadian legend? Yeah, I think Jamar Cain is so good. Like, honestly, I cannot say it enough. Mekhi Wingo's Missouri film was nothing like what you saw this year. And I know he was all SEC freshman. Um, so still, let's see what you got. Chris Benoit. We've gotten a few Drakes here. Gretzky. Okay. Drizzy. John Candy. Walker Howard is himself a Tiger. Jim Carrey. Okay. Can't go wrong with that. We'll get back into LSU stuff. I'm still waiting to see who can actually name the true Canadian legend. I'm going to give you all a few more seconds here. But I do think Walker Howard should play during the bowl game. And one more thing on Shand, there was one forced fumble he had versus San Diego State that was absurd. Right, he was playing on the right side of the line. It was a little bit later in the game, and he does a really good job of attacking blocks and making tackles and shedding those blocks and making plays. So really, Wobble. And it's too late to say sorry about this choice. That was a bad pun. That was such a bad pun. Let's see. Chris Jericho. The Hart family. I was about to say Kevin Hart's from Philly. Steve Nash. Okay, I'm going to give it away right here. All right, I'm going to give it away. Oh, behave. Oh, behave. And his arch nemesis was $1 billion. That is the Canadian legend. Let's go to Danny Girl. In my opinion, Les Miles was loyal to a fault with his players. My own hope is that BK doesn't do the same. I hope JD5 doesn't get the nod just because of loyalty, but why else would he come back unless he knew he would start? There we go. Mark gets it over Rico. Or did Rico get in first? Steve, Tim Horton. Mike Myers is the number one Canadian. Because when Austin Powers came out, I'm telling you, judge me all you want. When Austin Powers came out, you have to admit that was A+ tier comedy. Like, it was so freaking good. Oh, man. But shout out Parashan, Jalen Lee, and Braden Swinson. And shout out to you, Walker Howard. Yeah, you know what's interesting here, Danny? And this is going to be, y'all thank Danny right now in the chat. Because it's a generous super chat, I am going to I'm going to reveal part 1 of our Jayden deep dive that will be dropped after the early signing period, right? So I had a long conversation today with SEC StatCat, right? I am glad to call Clark a friend. And tomorrow morning, I am doing some CBS radio on the East Coast. And he's jumping on the channel or on the radio show with me. And I'm going to try and get Clark on here tomorrow. Okay. So Clark's a buddy. And if you guys think I know film and plays and all of that, I am nothing to this guy. He is truly the best college football mind I have ever met. I'm serious, especially, since he's all SEC. So he works for On3 and all of this. And, I obviously just focus mostly on Jayden Daniels, and I have the SEC channel now, and I'm blessed to, it's almost at 100 subscribers, or 1,000 subscribers, excuse me. I have a lot of respect for Clark at SEC StatCat, and he knows how to evaluate quarterbacks better than me. Okay. So I talked to him today about Jayden Daniels, and we both agreed on one thing. This is a very unorthodox evaluation, right? Because Jayden Daniels is about as unorthodox of a championship quarterback. And I say championship, SEC West championship quarterback that you'll see, right? If you just watch Jayden Daniels just throw the football and just charted his throws, you would not think this was a guy that won the SEC West. You just would not think that. But obviously, there is more to quarterbacking than just that, right? You have the leadership ability. You have the grittiness. He doesn't miss games. You have the low turnover percentage. There's a lot, right? But he does miss a lot of throws, a lot. And I'm not, obviously, I'm just relaying some of the stuff that I share with Clark. Now, what I will share with you is one very interesting thing about Jayden Daniels that he doesn't get enough credit for is what he does for the running game, right? Now, once again, if you just want a Cliff Notes version of all this deep dive stuff I'm going to be releasing over the next month on Jayden Daniels, it's basically this. It's going to come down to him being a better vertical passer. It's just that simple. There's no other way around it. If he doesn't, we're not going to go to the college football playoff. We just won't. It's almost statistically impossible for us to do that because you've got to hit vertical shots to win big games. Now, I love Jayden Daniels. You guys know this. I've been called a Jayden lover. I've been called a Jayden hater. But one thing he doesn't get enough credit for is what he did for the running game this year. And, what you can do with this is I think we can all agree. And Max, thank you for the super chat here. Michael B., I hope you're feeling better, man. 1000% agree with Danny. If Walker, even Ricky, was more willing to take shots, we got to give him a shot. We'll go 8-4, 9-3 again with JD5. Yeah, so this is what I'll say about Jayden Daniels in the running game, okay? Kenny Powers, never a bad option. So there is a stat called rush yards before contact and rush yards after contact, right? And LSU's rush yards after contact is the highest it's ever been, okay? Now, really think about that, right? This was the worst running back room we have had in a while on paper, right? Going into this year. Those aren't just my words. Those were, and now Brian Kelly didn't say it like that, but he said going into the year, we don't have a spectacular back. We don't have a Leonard Fournette back there. I still have the clip here. I could play it again. I know a lot of you have seen it, though, if you watch my channel, because I think that was a pretty illuminating thing. I think Brian Kelly knows more about football than I do, right? And probably most of you watching this now. I won't speak on anybody's behalf, though. So why is that? Why do you think LSU had just this ridiculous amount of rush yards after contact? And by the way, this is still calibrating out sacks and scrambles and all of that. Well, it's because Jayden could run, right? I saw this just watching game after game, snap after snap. It wears you down defensively if you play a dual threat quarterback. Also, it does matter what you do in the zone read game with a dual threat quarterback. Jayden was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal with this. Now, he wasn't versus Texas A&M when we really needed him to be. That was obviously a really bad pull read there. But overall, Jayden was phenomenal with our running game. And those things just don't show up on the stat sheet, right? You normally just see rushing yards and what the yards were, when we ran the football. But you don't take a look at the advanced stats. You don't look at the rush EPA. We're the fourth best team in the country in rush EPA per play, opponent adjusted rush EPA. We were one of the best in the country at rush yards after contact. Only Texas was better than us. Only Texas. Think about that. Texas has the best running back prospect in years, maybe since Fournette coming out. Nobody has had the hype that Bijan Robinson has right now. So think about that. Our running backs this year, they were great. They broke a lot of tackles. They were way better than what any one of us thought. But if you go look at other advanced dual threat quarterbacks, you go look at a guy like Jalen Hurts, you go look at a guy like Lamar Jackson, Jayden is on their level when it comes to a runner. Now, he is not nearly as good as those guys and probably never will be. But he is that level of a runner. He is in that tier with them. And if you go look advanced stats in the NFL, such as rush yards over expectation, guess who the best rush yards over expectation backs in the NFL were? Well, Miles Sanders is one of the best in in all the NFL. A few years ago, J.K. Dobbins. A few years ago, Mark Ingram. It's because there is a guy in the backfield who creates space just by his existence. So, that's one little area that Jayden really does help this team. And you just don't get that with basically any other quarterback not of that athleticism. Only Anthony Richardson was as fast as Jayden Daniels, and that's probably not even true. So while Jayden does need to get better vertically, that's one of the things I was looking at today. And that's going to come out. There's more to it. I left a lot out. That was obviously a little nerdy. But, I do think what that did for our running game with the offensive line this year that started two true freshmen at offensive tackle and had a middle of the offensive line that was really banged up and struggled to block big guys over the middle. It was huge. It was absolutely huge. Okay. Let's go to John Sylvie Butler Super Chat. John, yeah, I appreciate your friendship. I do, your mentorship. You're obviously someone that has accomplished a lot in your career, and I love the new headshot here. Yeah, I do agree with this, Max. A lot of Jayden's turnover pluses was because he did not actually take shots down the field, and that is something that he does need to do a better job of. Okay. How do you not give the nod to the quarterback who took it to the SEC championship? Why is there so much fuss? How many throws does he miss during crunch time? Okay. Let me see. So just off the top of my head, crunch time throws. It just depends on your definition of crunch time. Okay. So let's take the Alabama fourth quarter. He didn't miss. He honestly just did not miss. I don't know what exactly happened there, but that was some of the best LSU quarterbacking we'll ever see. Like that fourth quarter was, as good as it gets. He could not have played a better fourth quarter in overtime than he did when we really needed to. And you give him a lot of credit there. Now, as far as other crunch time throws, obviously the A&M game was bad. He missed a lot of second half throws and made a lot of second half mistakes. So I'll share that. Also, he did miss, we get into crunch time. He did get better as the game moved on, but he would miss a lot early in games, which is fine. Okay. But, there is something to be said about a locker room rallying around a guy that won the SEC West for you. And, I shared a little bit about this recently on this live stream and on Blake's, that there's something to be said about Jayden Daniels being the leader of this team, right? You go look at Instagram. I went and counted this up, since the beginning of the Florida State game, 1 in every 6 Instagram posts is starring Jayden Daniels, or he's in, part of the photo. That's a lot, right? Most of them is either Brian Kelly, Joe Burrow, or Jayden Daniels, right? And that means he's kind of become the face, right? He's the face of this team. Now, John, obviously I'm going to go through this. I look at this stuff every day. I've done so much research on Jayden over the past week. It is insane. And obviously, I shared some of it just now. There's going to be more on that coming out soon, which is why you should subscribe and ring the bell. So, yeah, I do think something is also true about Jayden Daniels is I do think if there is someone out there in LSU world that has some kind of animosity towards him, because he does miss a lot of throws and he's not, an orthodox quarterback. I don't know why. I am very happy he's our quarterback. There's a lot that needs to get worked on. Our yard per play numbers is a non-negotiable for me. I can share all these fancy stats. I'm going to be honest, I don't quite fully understand some of them, but they do make a lot of sense in terms of when you look at the stat and see who else is in the same grouping as, rush yards over contact and all that stuff. But ultimately, the tried and true stat that has never failed me since I started going by this stat, let's say 5 years ago, is yards per play. I always look at yards per play. And since the college football era has started, you've got to average 6.2 yards per play to either make the playoff, but really to win the playoff. And ultimately, it all goes back to us only being a 5.5 yard per play team this year. And that's not going to cut it. It's just not. Like, I don't care who the quarterback is. I don't care who the team is. I would say this about any team that average 5.5 yards per play. That means you're like a 60th ranked offense in all of college football. We should not be that. We should not be that. If you go look at our composite ranking, you go look at our wide receivers, you go look at the offensive line that's gotten better, our coaching has gotten better, all those things have gotten better. And our quarterbacking has gotten better. Jayden Daniels, to me, is a better quarterback than Max Johnson. So if all those things are getting better, why is our yard per play number essentially what it's been if Max Johnson was a quarterback? And, that to me is just not good enough. So, for me, that's not just me looking at LSU. That's me looking at anybody that averages that mark. That means you're a good offense. I would think that would be a good number for Kentucky. I think that would be a good number for an Arkansas. I think that would be a good number for Iowa State or any middle tier program. Not for us. It's not good enough. And, as many mistakes as Garrett Nussmeier made in the SEC championship game, and he made, two big ones, right? The fumble was bad. The interception was way worse. What I will say is he stretched the field and he got our yard per play number up to 7.9 versus Georgia. And I know we were blowing the brakes, getting the brakes blown off of us, and Georgia theoretically took the foot off the gas. Those things are true. And Garrett Nussmeier was able to play with really not a whole lot of pressure on him. He was able to play really freely. And as I've shared before, speaking to someone close to the Nussmeiers, he told me how important the SEC championship game was to Garrett Nussmeier because of his dad, who's coaching the game, and he's attended the games. That was obviously a big game for him. That's one that he always wished to play in. So, he had a little extra juice for that game as well. The one thing Garrett Nussmeier did is he increased our yard per play outage, and that is good. That is what we want. So that doesn't necessarily mean me saying I want Garrett Nussmeier or Walker Howard. I'm just saying that number, go look at that number, go look at the college football playoff teams, and that will tell you everything you need to know. It's not really that hard. Don't look at points, because points can be misleading, right? Points can tell you it could have been a defensive touchdown. You could have had great field position. Look at yard per play data. It will never lead you astray. It's not 100%, the absolute best stat in the world. Is just my favorite. And the first thing I look for with a new coach, a new team that I'm evaluating, is that number. And, that's just your play output efficiency. There you go. Good stat to go by. That's part of it too. So, Michael B's been rocking with me for a little bit. So, uh, Golden Boot, good to see you, man. Um, I once again, sorry, I better see some $5 hot takes tonight. Your $5 hot takes are second to none. Let's follow up on Danny's super chat here. I do not like this JD5 at all. I could say I know Danny pretty well. I know she doesn't like it. I know she likes Jayden a lot personally. But I honestly believe he is a mediocre quarterback, and other losses helped us win the SEC more. He has upsides and downsides. Mediocre QB will mean mediocre season again. Yeah, I would say I don't think anybody thinks Danny's racist at all. I know Danny pretty well, and I talk to her pretty often. I don't think I don't. Obviously, I'll go back to this one. Hope you stay, Danny. So no one call anybody racist. I don't want race to be a part of it. I mean, it's always a part of every conversation in some context, but it doesn't have to be here. We don't have to discuss, the race thing here. But what I will say is this: I have seen some questionable remarks towards Jayden, um, some of which I won't share. I've seen, I've gotten messages that I've always found to be questionable. But look, I think everybody just wants a winning quarterback, or at least people that follow me. So if you are racist, feel free to unsubscribe and leave me forever. Huh? 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 Uh, but yeah, I don't think he is mediocre though. I do think that's a little strong. I don't think I think it's hard to be mediocre if you have the fourth quarter he had versus Alabama. That was truly special quarterback play. Like, that wasn't good. That wasn't great. That was special. I know anybody can have a one-off quarter, but man, it really was special. Um, and there were some other special games that Jayden had. Obviously, the Ole Miss and Florida games were really good, but but there is something to be said about some of the throws that Jayden missed during the season, and it just depends if you're one of those people out there that you think Jayden will get better at those throws throughout the course of the year. So Ellie says Jayden has only been on campus about 9 months. 9 months. Yeah, it's true. Let's see here. There's a lot of you in here. There, we hit over 200. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Uh, I'm very blessed to obviously hit that number. Get to do this full time. I'm going to really need y'all support over the next couple of weeks. Um, I'll just put it at that right now. But yeah, I am very blessed to get to do this. Right. I never take it for granted. I know I say that a bunch, but this is my dream. I look at this stuff every single day of my life. It is what I've always wanted to do. I will say this as the comments start flying in. Obviously, if you super chat, I'm going to go, straight to it. But one thing that does help me from where I'm sitting, because it does make it a little more personal, I do like seeing a photo of some sort. The letter avatars, anybody could just put up a letter avatar. I like seeing big smiles, such as Bruce. Let's go to Bruce. How should move Perk? Okay, we're going to talk some defense here. I like that. How should move Perk to inside linebacker next year? Then he can blitz from anywhere on the field like Devin White did. He is too light to play the jack. He is too light to play the jack all game. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Perk. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let's talk a little bit here about Bruce's super chat. Do you believe Perk should move full time to the inside linebacker position? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Okay. We're going to move on from Jayden, but if you super chat, we'll go back to the Jayden conversation. It's just how it works, Type Y for yes, type N for no. Okay. FACP, John, what's up, man? I'm telling you, one of my highlights of the year was actually meeting John and Steve. That tailgate, I didn't expect a lot because I've never gone to an RV tailgate. I always thought that RV tailgates were just like lower key and people are just hanging out and all that stuff. But yeah, I really had a good time. I really appreciate you, John. I'm sorry we didn't get the link up in Atlanta, but we will next year when we beat Tennessee in the SEC championship game. No hot takes tonight. Just wishing the PHL fam a blessed and Merry Christmas. Donovan, thank you so much. This next year is my goal. One of my goals is to get Donovan to open for Miranda Lambert. Now, Donovan, you need to send me your tape before I reach out to Miranda's people. You know what it's interesting, Donovan? So one quick country music thing. I don't know what the case is, but when I did country music radio, I did not interview a lot of people. But when I did, they would always blow up. Almost every country person I interviewed blew up. And believe it or not, Lainey Wilson, I knew Lainey before she was big. She opened for my buddy Frank Foster. And Lainey is like the number one like female country artist on the planet right now. She's on Yellowstone, and I'm gonna try and get Lainey on the channel. But yeah, I was like, dang, Lainey, look at you do your thing. I've not talked to her in years. But yeah, Lainey's a beast. She is a really, really good artist. Cooper says no. Steve said, hey, what's up, Steve? Here you are. Steve, okay. So Steve was sending me photos of racks of ribs today, and I was like, Steve, you can't do that. I'm chubby. I got to lose weight for this wedding. I mean, goodness gracious. And he says, no. Everyone's going to run right at Perkins next year. That's how you attack speed. Yeah, I mean, this was a thing. This was a thing. Okay. Look. Do I think Harold Perkins is special? Yes. Once again, it wasn't rocket science for me to see that he was going to do what he did. He did have the highest grade of anybody that I've evaluated. And I really started evaluating like LSU prospects closely, looking at their high school film. That really started for me in 2019. So he had a higher grade than Stingley for me. He had a higher grade than, Will Campbell, Mason Smith. I mean, it truly was special. But the one thing I've always said about him was, I don't know what his best position is. I don't know if it was running back. I didn't know if it was linebacker. I didn't know if it was edge. I just knew he could play football. His instincts, his football IQ was just so next level. Watching him play, his ball skills, all that stuff, testing, it was incredible. I just never seen anything like it. And this year he was a phenomenon. But the SEC's got all these analysts, right? They've got all these coaches. They've got all these people whose job it is to figure out Harold Perkins. Because as much as we wanted to say, well, Jayden won us this game and Brian Kelly won us this game, you can make a case Harold Perkins won us the most football games this year. He changed everything. He changed the Mississippi State game. He changed the Auburn game, changed the Alabama game. Objectively, we could say he won us the Arkansas game. He changed the whole trajectory of our season, quite honestly. And we started playing some teams that had a little bit more beef, and Perk began to struggle. Teams started to figure out the LSU defense as a whole to a certain extent. We also got tired. I think that was blatantly clear if you watch every snap of every game, that the guys that were flying around and making absolutely crazy plays, the Baskervilles, the Greg Brooks, those guys struggled to make plays at the end of the year. We just didn't have the juice. Right. So there's a lot of different things, but I do think there comes to a point where what is Harold Perkins' best position? So this year they used him as this hybrid nickel linebacker. And it worked. Like, obviously we won a lot of games doing it, but where Perk obviously won us the games were on these specialized formations, right? These Mustang 3-2-6 or 2-3-6, however you want to, number it. These, specialty pass rushing, passing down, formations. And that's great, right? But, I do think LSU wants to investigate and ponder what is his best every down role. Because I think most of you would like to have Harold Perkins on the field at all times. Also, whether Brian Kelly and Matt House want to admit this or not, after the Tennessee game, there's always going to be public pressure for Harold Perkins to be on the field a lot, like, an obscene amount, at least 90% of every game. So I don't think, Bruce comes at this from a, hey, I want to change who Harold Perkins is kind of role. I have begun to evolve and think maybe this is the best role for Harold Perkins. Play him as a basketball on first and second down, and then on third down, get really exotic and get them close to the line of scrimmage. It's not far fetched to do that. It's a little unusual, but it's not far fetched. Tennessee did this with Jeremy Banks last year, their best linebacker. Now, Jeremy Banks did cost him their season, arguably, but that's a different story for a different day. So yeah, I do think LSU will continue to be creative because I think Matt House is too smart to know that offenses are going to adjust. They are. And if we don't adjust, we're going to run into some issues as well. Okay. So, all right. So now we're still doing I'm down for a Donovan watch party. Spectrum Wellcare. What's up? Parashan's a solid player. Of the three, I actually liked his film the most, but I've not watched Alien Lee yet. So Swinson, I think, is interesting. He obviously fills a big need for them, but I really like Parashan. Did I love him? Was I like blown away by him? No, but also understand this: if you watch a transfer, you're not going to be blown away by anybody, right? Because there is a reason they're transferring. Oftentimes it's to play at a bigger school like LSU, but some of it's also they weren't necessarily spectacular at their first stop. And Shan actually was a very productive player this year. But rarely is a transfer like Jarek Bernard Converse, who was all Big 12 where he was, and now he's coming here. And well, he was here playing for LSU. Okay. Let's go to Abby Celestine. What's up, man? Good to see you. Perkins reminds me of Von Miller. He would Mike a great 3-4 stand up in, or Leo in a 4-3 front. There we go. Yeah, I mean, Von Miller, obviously Harold Perkins and Von Miller have a relationship, which is obviously pretty cool. Von's obviously, he's definitely of the modern era, the best pass rusher. And we can get in a debate about DeMarcus Ware and obviously TJ Watt, and Aaron Donald's a different player. And obviously Micah Parsons might shatter everybody, but Von's that dude. And if Perk continues, he'll be that good. And thank goodness Perk didn't go to A&M like Von Miller did. So there you go. One thing I do ask, just for the sake of the chat, I don't have the slow chat up for a reason. I stopped doing it for for a while. I might have to put it back up. As far as like comments are concerned, just try not to over comment, if you get what I'm saying, right? Because I think some people want to get a word in, but if it's just this constant Jayden versus Joe Burrow thing, which I think anybody can see that's not smart. Now, in certain contexts, I could see a Jayden versus Joe Burrow conversation, but yeah, let's just try and not fully clog the chat, if you will. Okay. Yeah, Von's a little bit more of a unit, though. That would be my thing. And obviously the biggest difference here is Perk is not the longest guy in terms of arm length. He's obviously he's not built like a Von Miller or Max Crosby. Now he does have good length, but he's a little bit more compact, if you will. So there you go. Now it's okay if you want to ask me a Jayden question, but please don't clog the chat. Okay. Should Walker Howard get snaps? versus Purdue. Larry, I strongly disagree with that. Joe Burrow quite literally was everything. Now, he wasn't his first year, but Joe Burrow quite literally was everything in 2019. There was not an aspect of quarterbacking that he was not elite. Um, Running, throwing, accuracy, QBR. Um, the only aspect where he wasn't elite was sack rate, and I did a deep dive on it. Sacks are a little bit overrated. So let's I do disagree. Joe Burrow quite literally was everything in 2019. Now 2018 when he came in, he was a fine starter. Let's think of a new poll question here. Um Vaughn was only 215 as a freshman. That's crazy. I didn't know that. I appreciate that insight. Try to think of a new poll question here. Yeah, gonna hit the like button. Appreciate you, Big Al. Latest on Denver Harris. Um, Honestly, I have no intel on Denver. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm also not one that loves to seek recruiting intel. I'm just one of those guys that's just, hey, if it happens, it happens, right? But we do know Denver Harris did visit. I'm trying to think of a good poll question. I'm trying to think of one where it's not like 50, like 89% to like 11%. Right. Okay. This is a good one. All right. And this poll question is going out to Danny, JSB, and Donovan. Okay. I had a Will Campbell tweet go viral today. That's kind of cool. I like Will a lot. You know why I like Will a lot? All right, Michael B. I hope you start feeling better, man. I lost 20 viewers thinking of the poll question, so y'all better answer. Okay. Denver Harris is supposedly alive, but they wanted to wait till after ESD. Okay. Denver and Rick's starting cornerbacks next year. I could see it. I will say this. I do like to try and figure out, intel on the absolute most important players. And Denver Harris obviously would be a very important player for LSU next year. But I feel really good about Desmond Ricks. And I can't wait to see him. This was a kid who got his first offer in 8th grade. Okay. So I do think I do think Desmond Ricks is going to be a very good player at LSU. I do. Historical data proves that. Um, and yeah, I'm really freaking excited to see Desmond Ricks. Big Al says one of the better poll questions. Who was LSU's best non-JD5 offensive player? For Danny, JSB, and Donovan. Josh Williams currently winning the poll. Malik Neighbors was really good for us this year. That was an intense debate last night with Blake. Imagine Steeples got Corey Raymond coming in second again. LOL. That's true. That's true. But yeah, what I will say about that is, if a player is of this importance and a 5-star corner is of immense importance, you give Robert Steeples a lot of credit. He is the position coach, so that relationship has to be strong. But it also goes above him, right? Like this is, this gets into like a Brian Kelly, Matt House, and all hands on deck kind of approach. And, what I will say about that is, and I know I use a lot of these data and charts and all of that, but top 100 recruits just vastly outperform everybody else, right? Now, that's not always the case. Obviously, Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow, but, top 100 recruits on average just equate to so much more NFL draft capital. Now, could some of that be attributed to their actual recruiting ranking helping out their NFL draft capital? Maybe. Sometimes that does help an NFL evaluation, but oftentimes the NFL just wants to get it right. Top 100 recruits, that seems to be a very important number. And, Desmond Ricks is obviously one of those guys. My evaluation doesn't matter when it comes to that point. You have to have those kind of guys on the team. It's a non-negotiable. Obviously, these top 100 guys that get heavy push from Bama, they get heavy push from Florida, there are more things that you have to do to get them to sign. But that's the game, right? If you want them, you got to go get them. And in order to get those guys, trust me, these schools know this, right? You got to do what you got to do now. And I think LSU should. I do. And yeah, and Desmond Ricks should very well go to where he feels he is best used, and maximize his value. And this is a guy who has some Marshawn Lattimore in him. He's got some Ramsey in his game. Now, do I think that he is of that talent now? No, I don't. But you see it. You can see the flashes, right? So yeah, I'm very, very, very interested. Okay. Okay. All right. So we are going to put a few of you in a brief little period, just because I asked you not keep doing the Jayden thing. So we're just gonna just a brief little break for a few of our chatters here. I issued a warning a minute ago. I just I sometimes if I'm watching and I watch other YouTube channels from time to time, oftentimes it's not LSU related. If I see a chat room that is just like very vicious, I don't want to get in. So I put a few people in a little break. They'll be allowed to come back in. I'm not blocking them. I actually unblocked somebody not too long ago. So yeah, they're just getting a little break, okay, because they've been doing the Jayden thing for 7 years, okay. Let's go to John Sibley here. I would like to back to blue chipper players versus other players. So what's the difference between a 4 and a 5-star? Okay. So this is what I'll say about this. All right. And I do feel there is a lot to back this up. Okay. The first thing is, how much of a difference is there between one individual 4-star player and one individual 5-star player? It's not a lot. Obviously, it depends on the player. Like, for instance, Julio Jones coming out was a different type of talent. Trevor Lawrence coming out was a different type of talent. It was evident, right? And that's when you see a gap between a 5-star and a 4-star player. But let's say someone like for just for an example here, Connor Wigman at Texas A&M. He's a really good quarterback, and I had a nice grade on him coming out. And before the season, you can go to my Power SEC channel. I predicted that he would end up winning the A&M job by the end of the year, and he did. He's a good player. Now, is he a 5-star quarterback in my estimation? Well, the 247 composite had him as a 5-star player. I thought he was a high-level 4-star. So, it just depends on, your own personal eye test and how you personally evaluate whoever. So yeah, between some 4 and 5 stars, there's not much of a gap. There's just not. Like, for me, if you're to look at Harold Perkins, I would need you. I would need you to be able to think that he is a 5-star talent, right? But like I say, like a 4-star player. Well, most of your players are going to be 4 stars, right? Go look at the 247 composite rankings. Every school that are the elites normally has anywhere from 1 or 2 5 stars, like us, and the Alabamas normally have 5. They got another one today. I do think John Sibley, the more important number is top 100. I think that's obviously a little bit wider sample. 5-star players, there's normally only like 30 to 35, depending on what service you look at. So if we're going to do top 100, go to top 125 and go from there. Okay. So I think, if you take a look at that, there is a difference. So like, for instance, I think there is a gap between, just when I look at recruiting data, I do see LSU players begin to peter off when you get into that 120 to 150 range. You start seeing more misses. So, yeah. Who's everyone's favorite 3-star and under LSU recruit of all time? Mine is a tie between Jacob Hester and Justin Jefferson. Really good super chat question right here from Rick. We say hi to Jonathan. What's up, man? JoJo Earl is with Jack Besh and Tommy Brockermeyer at TCU. So, yeah. Who is everybody's favorite 3-star and under LSU recruit of all time? A lot of Jacob Hesters. Honey Badger, well, he was a 3-star on Rivals, but overall he was a pretty comfortable 4-star. But any answer with the Honey Badger is always one to celebrate, as you can see with all these Tyrann Matthew cards. But he was a 3-star according to Rivals. I think it was Rivals. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that's a really good one. Shout out to Baton Rouge. Trenton Holiday, that was a great 3-star, right? I like that one. Josh Reed. So was recruiting services around when Josh Reed came out? I like it, though. I like a good Josh Reed reference. Once again, Rick wants you to comment, who is your favorite 3-star and under recruit? Clyde Edwards. Josh Williams is honestly a good answer. He's definitely the answer on this team. You can argue Makai Wingo as well as far as 3-star and unders on the current team. Let's see, Rick. Obviously, Jacob Hester and Justin Jefferson are there. They had great NFL careers, and I think those would be like two of the first ones mentioned, right? Odell, I think, was a comfortable 4-star. I think he was like 120 something ish. Has to be Jets. He's definitely I would say Justin Jefferson at this point is definitely the best. Icons are different. Welcome to the club, Joe. That was such a great video. Brett says Jacob Hester. I like Trendon a lot too. I'm going to give you a few here. I think, if you're listing the best 3-stars ever at LSU, obviously Justin Jefferson would be there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire would be there. Morris Claiborne would have to be there as well. This is obviously a deep cut, but I think Stephen Ridley was a 3-star. That would be someone else. DJ Chark was a 3-star. So yeah, there's a lot, to point to as far as like 3-star players. Pretty sure Michael Brockers was a 3-star recruit. So Lloyd Cushenberry, as Max points out here, was definitely a big one. Patrick Queen, yeah, it depends on what service you look at, but he was a low tier 4-star according to the 247 composite. But that's basically a 3-star. Neil Farrell was a 3-star. I'm trying to think of how about this is a recent one, Mason Taylor. We'll see what he does the rest of his career. So yeah, DJ Chark, Russell Gage. There's a lot of 3-star offensive linemen you could point to as well. Foster Moreau, Duke Riley. Really, honestly, a lot on the offensive line, a lot. So yeah, I would say my personal favorite might be Dre Jenkins. I did a whole podcast about it. I think a lot of you listened to it. Did a whole video about it as well. I do think Dre Jenkins is a classic example of what a 3-star actually, means, right? Like, the one thing about Jacob Hester is that he came from a really, really good high school football program in Evangel. And Justin Jefferson did have, great mentors in Jordan and Ricky Jefferson who played at LSU. So, Justin was very familiar with a lot of people at LSU. Dre Jenkins, small town, Gina, Louisiana, came in the same class with two of the best LSU receivers of all time in Terrace Marshall and Jamar Chase, and 3 consecutive seasons. Like, really think about this. 3 consecutive years, he was not predicted to be a top 3 receiver on the team. In 3 consecutive years, he did just that. Every one of those years, he was top 2 in yards per catch. Dre was just a doubter silencer his entire career. And, there's a guy who lost his mother. Like, so when you really think about 3-star recruits overcoming adversity and nobody believing in you, I think Dre's got to be my favorite 3-star. Now there's a lot. I'm like you. I'm a big Jacob Hester fan myself. And yeah, I know Rob G reached out to Jacob. I'm gonna try and get him on this offseason. It would obviously be great. Most of the great LSU players that have jumped on our channel have been running back, so that would obviously be a lot of fun. Lewis Neal, how about that? Now, undersized defensive lineman, I'm always down. I'm always up for it. Trey White was the highest rated player in his class. I think he was a 2013 recruit. Ron Landry, I think, was a 5-star. Jeremy Hill is a 3-star. Might have been on some services. But no, I think Jay Hill is a comfortable 4. Chad Jones. Our Chad Jones, PHL president, PHL fan club president, William. Shout out to him. So, yeah. I think Dre has got to be mine. It could be recency bias, though, but honestly, like, when I think 3-star recruit, I think, overcoming adversity, all those different things. So, how about that? I think T-Bob was a comfortable 4-star. So, there you go. I think PJ Lonergan, I think he was a 3-star. Nacho Albergamo, that's a throwback. So, Rick, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate you. Now, when I think 5-star, I think of one thing as a 5-star, right? And when it comes to, like, some of the most important decisions you'll make in life, I know somebody that produces 5-star level things, right? There she was. She was ready. She was ready tonight. She had LA Mama, not gonna lie, you had gone on a 10-game losing streak, right? I mean, you were on a skid, like, of all skids. Your Presley collection win streak was starting to look like the Sacramento Kings. I'm going to be honest with you, right? Just consecutive losses just piling up. But LA Mom said, look, she is going to copy and paste Presley in the chat and be ready for it. You get it, Kings, because the Presley collection, you guys know it, the iconic crown, baby. Presley Collection and PresleyCollection.com. So my guy Skipper's not in the chat, but we set up a one-on-one consultation with Skipper and Anthony Starr Presley. And look, I'm telling you, these consultations go smoothly. You think it's just engagement rings because that's what obviously I have used Presley Collection for. But honestly, it is more than just engagement rings. It's the biggest moment of your life, honestly. And I trusted Anthony Starr Presley with this. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was a little spooked out about it. I was nervous. Like, hey, I'm doing this over the phone. I'm not, actually going into a store. And Haley really wants this. She always wanted to get married. And it was a big deal for her. And we were going to London to do the proposal. And we absolutely positively had to get this thing right. I kid you not, this was the easiest thing I've ever done. And I know it seems strange. Why did I do this over the phone? But it's not over the phone. It's, once again, a one-on-one call. I'm telling you right now, Anthony Starr Presley will get you right. It's not just engagement rings. It's diamond pendants, necklaces, any type of jewelry. If you're interested in the jewelry that the little babies of the world wear or the Meghan Markles of the world, anything you could think of, Presley Collection and PresleyCollection.com. Okay? Okay? LA Mom wanted it back. I love it. Huh? It's obviously really good, and I appreciate you, LA Mom. Deion Jones and Quan Alexander were both 3 stars. Quan was also the highest rated player in his class, but Deion Jones was a 3-star. You're right. You're certainly right about that. Another underrated 3-star was Jalen Mills. How about that? Normal guy, good to see you. Derek Davis and Damaris McGee return to LSU. No, I don't think they will. All right. Very shocking, right? We're talking about top 100 recruits. Derek Davis was firmly in the top 100. Damaris McGee was like top 150. and neither one panned out. Very strange. But defensive backs, it's hard to play that position. Let's see here. There we go. Oh, you talked to him today. There you go, Skipper. Shoot me a text. Let me know how it went. Bottom line is to win a national championship at LSU. When you look at it, we've had a whole lot of talent come through Baton Rouge. I don't know what Skylar Green's recruiting ranking was. I love the pettiness towards Coy Moore. Best 4-star was Coy Moore helped us beat Auburn. That's true. Honestly, we don't beat Auburn without Coy Moore. I know that sounds effed up, but it's just true. We don't win that game if he doesn't make those two mistakes. Oh, man. That is so freaking funny. Huh? Oh, man. Jay Red, thank you for the Journal Super Chat here. I really appreciate you. So, Jerry, you get to pick the next topic. Go right on ahead. Let's go to Carvis. I'm looking forward to closing out with the potential top 3 class, but at least top 7. Hopefully we can lock Rick's. It's my birthday. Catch y'all later. What's up, Carvis? Very happy birthday to you, my friend. Congratulations. There you go. And Carver, shoot me an email, powerhourlsu@gmail.com. Once again, powerhourlsu@gmail.com. I don't think you've ever emailed me before, Carvis. Hit me up, man. So I can wish you a personal happy birthday. What's up, James? What's up, James? James been a little quiet. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Coy Moore. Okay. Yeah, I think LSU will be a top 3 class. I do. I think, right now, what do they sit? They sit at number 3 in the 247 composite. I don't think anybody's going to catch Alabama after today, and they still got some more 5-stars, I think, that will commit. Them flipping Caden Proctor was very impressive. Okay. Charles Country Matters. Welcome to the channel, Charles. Good to see you. Is that the Maryland logo? Shay dropped a flip. There you go. That's good news. But yeah, I think I think top 3 you feel pretty good. I mean, if you land Desmond Ricks, you feel you get it done. So there you go. powerhourlsu@gmail.com. Oh, where do you live in the DMV? Let me know. I used to live in Silver Spring. Let's go, Silver Spring. I can pull it up for you really quick. LA Mom. LSU. No, you're right. They are number 5 in the composite. I thought I swore I saw them number 3. So thank you for correcting me there. But the bottom line is making sure you're in the top 10, but you really want to be in the top 5. So there you go. Appreciate you, LA Mom. Okay. Doug wants to talk about Kamarion Pimpton, the Vanderbilt tight end lean, if you will. I mean, look. You want to go to Vanderbilt, you want to go to LSU. If you want to play, go to Vanderbilt. If you want to go to a real program, go to LSU. Right? So, good stuff. Pretty excited about that. He's a flip. Okay, so Doug is predicting Pimpton's going to be the flip. Oh, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. That's true. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've lived there. But I did used to live in Silver Spring. Did I used to kick it with Dave Chappelle? No. I am, number 1, not as funny as Dave, and number 2, not as famous as him. So there you go. Are Ricks or Harris a Stingley Surtain level talent? Personally, Pegasus, I don't think so, but that doesn't mean that they can't get to that level. But that's just once again how I personally see it. I mean, all my evaluations are just like your evaluations. They're guesses. I also do tend to be on the cautious side of, doing a big time comparison, right? And that's I think you've been following me for a while, Pegasus. I'm always like that. So if I say someone's going to be special, I truly do mean it from, the bottom of my heart. I didn't know what to say there. But yes, Pimpton ain't easy. Dave's from Silver Spring. I thought Dave was from Ohio, right? In the small town in Ohio. But I like that. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Did you like this Jared dad joke? Let me know. Ooh, okay. So I see you, Steve. Steve, I see you, Steve. The ones that get this question, you get this question. It's not anything deep. I was asked this yesterday with Blake. Who will have the best returning offense next year in the SEC? It's a good question. Obviously, LSU is going to return the most, right? Because they will return everybody, honestly. Josh comes back, Jayden comes back, and obviously Kayshawn coming back. So, yeah, they do return everybody. Obviously, Ole Miss returns Jackson Dart. They also return Quinshon Judkins, who you can argue is the best offensive player in the SEC. We'll see what Alabama does next year. What is life like without Bryce Young? Who is the quarterback going to be? So, I don't know. Honestly, don't know. Okay. John, thank you so much. I really appreciate your generosity. Merry Christmas from all the mature guys who remember when LSU just had numbers on the helmets. I like that. I still think about that iconic Billy Cannon photo, running versus Ole Miss and that number 20 on the side of his helmet. I like it. Let's see here. Do you think that the Tigers have to worry about a second-year slump because coach did so well in first year? Okay, so the first thing, everybody show some love to John Sibley Butler in the chat. Okay, show some love to John Sibley Butler in the chat right now. Okay, because obviously that was very generous of him to drop a big super chat such as that one. Really appreciate it. Been a tough week. Obviously, I won't get back into that, but I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. That was very merry of you. LA Mom has a certain way to put saying things. I love it. Who's LSU's best on? Josh Williams is winning this poll. I did not know Josh Williams was going to win this poll tonight. TJ, that's good, man. You're an immortal amongst men and women. James, wake up, son. Come on, man. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, John. Really appreciate it. I do think you do have to worry about a second-year slump to a certain degree, right? Because there will be some people on LSU's team. This is just common of teams that win a lot that do get static, right? The one thing that LSU all had in common going into this year was nobody on the roster, not named Jeray Jenkins, not named John Emery, not named Todd Harris, and so on and so on and so on, Cam Wire, but 80% of the roster had never won a daggum thing at the Division I Power 5 level. Okay, so think class of 2020 and class of 2021 and 2022, and all the transfers that came in. Obviously, our UL and Oklahoma State transfers had won a lot. But still, we were a team that did not win a whole lot going into this year. So, we had a lot to prove. There were a lot of players on that team that wanted to have somewhat of a winning legacy at LSU. And they did not want to be known as a team that went 11-12 their first two seasons or however many seasons at LSU. Okay? So, yes, you do have to worry about it some because there is a certain type of hunger on this team that nobody believed in LSU. And they didn't. LSU was picked to finish fifth in the West. LSU was also a team that, well, to put it kindly, had been in the previous seasons overrated going into the year. We were below West expectations. We were last in the West last year. And there were a lot of doubters. And that does fuel a team if you authentically have people that, you know, don't believe in you. And the second thing was Brian Kelly wanted to prove himself, right? This was a very bold move that Brian Kelly made going from Notre Dame to LSU. And I know it's a lot easier to, with a $100 million salary and a nice house on Dalrymple, I know it's easy for a lot of people to make that move from South Bend to Baton Rouge. But honestly, he wanted to prove that he was worth it, right? And he also wanted to prove to himself that this was the right move. Now, I'm not going to say that anybody on that staff is going to take it any easier this next year. But what I will tell you is you have got to look at this team and begin to ask, is this team hungry to win a national championship next year? And the answer to that is absolutely. All right, Brett, we'll see you tomorrow. Okay. There you go. Oh, so while I was sharing and answering John Sibley's chat question, our chat became a Bed Bath and Beyond chat room. Oh, come on. Wait, what is this, Tony? What is this? I can't put it on the screen, but what is this? Just shoot me a message, Tony. Let me know what it is. I'm kind of curious. Sacks. What's that, man? Yeah, Coach, this is a good question. Do we lose to Florida State if Mason doesn't get hurt? How much better are we with him healthy? I think we do. That wasn't a Division I offensive line or Power 5 offensive line that we fielded. It just wasn't. And that was arguably the best defensive line we played up until the Alabama game. Now, Florida State's defensive line's really good. I don't know how much Mason changes in that game because, honestly, Jordan Travis was playing so freaking good. So I don't know if we're beating Florida State that day. I'm not sure. But, it's close, and maybe Mason is the difference. What I will say is I know it's very early to look at this, Coach Smith, but the truth here is, from LA Mom's question is, do we beat them in 2023? Their team is arguably getting better next year. They've honestly killed it in the portal. They've killed it. You can make the case that they've been the best in the portal, especially if you don't factor in quarterback recruits. So, yeah, you give them credit there, but, you still got to play the game. I do go back to what Steve mentioned a minute ago. 2023 does set up really nicely for us. It really does. Alabama's got a new quarterback. Florida's got a new quarterback. Arkansas is losing a lot. Mississippi State, tragically, is going through a massive transition. So, I love it. I really do. And, Hugh Freeze, I'll make this comment really quickly about Auburn. This is the first time they've done some good stuff in a while, right? You guys know I've been anti-Harsin since the day I started this channel. I thought that was one of the worst hires I can remember, especially at a school like Auburn. And they killed him, and they're killing it with this Hugh Freeze thing. I think he's weird. I think all the stuff surrounding him is very strange. But last I checked, I don't seek SEC football for morality as well. The guy is hiring a really good staff, and he can really coach. I mean, it's all there is to it. So, but it's still going to be his first year next year. So a lot does shape up very nicely for us next year. A lot. I just want to throw this out here because it's a little bit later in the chat. Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Are you a Pelicans fan? I'm curious. I really am curious. It's going to be a quick question. We'll get back into football. Type Y for yes. Type N for no. I am very curious about this. I know better to ask if you're a Liverpool fan. Cagenomics, man, you know what you do. I appreciate you in a major way. Now, I know Mike is huge. Braylon is, yes. James says NBA. He's not an NBA guy. Massive, yes. Yes. Jared's casual. I know you're more LSU basketball. Yes. Yes. Don't watch NBA. I'll say this today. Today was a big day for the NBA, right? New ownership. Chiba, that was interesting. And LeBron will be an owner with the Fenway Sports Group. It's very interesting. But I'm a massive Pelicans fan. I'm massive. I won't talk Pels on here. I won't. But that is one of my favorite things. It's my escape from just football. And I'm really happy with our team. I really am, right? It's been a tough schedule, playing the Suns a bunch, playing Giannis, who's arguably the best player in the sport. I think next year a lot of you will become bandwagon Pelican fans when we take Victor Wembanyama with the Lakers' #1 overall pick. Steve's LSU baseball. I'm going to be relying on you a lot, Steve. I can't do the day-to-day baseball. I can't. I did it in college, and I loved it. At that time, I was in college, and then went to Omaha, and I got to go to Omaha. Okay? I will never pose as a fake LSU baseball fan. I like LSU basketball. I love the Juice Hill kid. Never met his dad, but we are Facebook friends. I've spoken to him a few times. But yeah, I love this LSU basketball team. I love Coach McMahon. So yeah, I think he's a good time. And then of course Kim Mulkey. I thought the most bizarre thing. Did you guys see this? I promise I'll get back into football. I promise. All right. Did you guys watch? So LSU women's basketball, they played these games on YouTube, right? And it was like a high school level broadcast. I am not one to complain about broadcasting, and I'm a broadcasting nerd. Have the game, have decent broadcasters, don't have them talking over each other, and just have a camera and the score and time. I know very few will watch this, but it was not done well at all. What was crazy, though, was they had to stop the game, and both LSU and the team that they were playing had their white uniforms on. So it was like all white jerseys and shorts versus all white jerseys and shorts. Okay. So they stopped the game, thankfully, made the other team change in the locker room and come back out and play the game. How did nobody stop the game beforehand and say, look, we can't have one team that is in all white uniforms play another team that is in all white uniforms? That is absolutely crazy. If I super chat a soccer question, will it kill the chat? Well, here's the thing. If you super chat, I am obligated to answer it. Okay. I try my best to answer it. So, no, it will not kill the chat because I will be very brief, because earlier someone did ask me about the World Cup. And I did do a free Power Hour LSU podcast episode earlier this week on Lionel Messi and how Lionel Messi and Brian Kelly are essentially the same person. So if you want to check that out, go check it out. It's a free LSU podcast. No Man City. Well, TJ, I'm going to convert you to a Liverpool fan. Okay. Now, while Rico gets together his soccer super chat here, I want to invite you to get you some Power Hour LSU merch. PowerHourLSU.com. Okay. Let me get this out really quickly. So, I dropped it because I'm clumsy. All right. If you order, I have it upside down. Okay, Sean. If you order tonight, $70 worth of merch, I'm sending you a Jayden card, I'm sending you a Derek Stingley card, and I'm sending you a Kayshawn card. Okay? PowerHourLSU.com. Appreciate your golden boot. I'll be on there Thursday night briefly. Looking forward to that. Shout out Pooh Bear, D-Dub, and Ant. I know y'all got to carry Ant all the time. Carry him. Go to PowerHourLSU.com. Get you some merch. Obviously helps grow the freaking channel. Okay? So I did lose 20 viewers talking NBA. That's normally how it goes. What's up, James? Good to see you. Sorry about Rustin. I had to bring it up because every chat you brought it up. I did watch the end of that game. It kind of sucked. Like, all my viewers who were cheering hard for Union Parish, Trey Holly loses. Rustin plays, they lose. North Louisiana, come on. Shout out North Louisiana. Yeah, the Utah Jazz thing is always going to bother me. It is always going to bother me. And it will really bother you if you actually go to Salt Lake City. And it's not a city that you would think Jazz. And New Orleans has got to be the Jazz. We are the New Orleans Jazz. But honestly, I kind of like the Pelicans colors. Like, I kind of like the fact that you have a nickname that is a ferocious bird, but a lot of people think it's stupid. I like that. I do. Okay. James, you got to send me photos, man. All right, let's go to Rico Super Chat. Thank you so much, Rico. I really appreciate it. So here's what we're going to do. Okay. I'm looking at the clock right now. It is at 1:41. I am going to answer this question in roughly 2 minutes. Okay. Because I know a lot of you don't like soccer, but Rico is donating money. And I really appreciate that. And if you do super chat, heck, I used to get Kenny Chesney super chats all the time for whatever reason. I will talk some Kenny Chesney, maybe for 10 seconds. Would you say Mbappe is the best player in the planet right now and Messi is the GOAT? Okay, so is Mbappe the best player in the planet right now? There's a lot of different guys, in that conversation. I don't watch the day-to-day, but Mbappe's got to be number one on my list. As a Liverpool fan, I know there was rumors. I know there was a quote out there. His mom wanted him to play at Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool is not a club that normally acquiesces to the big super signee. They are very, structure oriented. And Mbappe, obviously, the PSG deal that he got, he gets part ownership, and he's French. So Kylian Mbappe fitting in at PSG, that's a perfect fit for him. Now, is he the best player in the world right now? Obviously, Erling Haaland at his absolute peak of his powers. He's a little bit different and more of your traditional number 9. Obviously, Mbappe is a little bit more of a attacker winger, and Messi's a little bit more, central, cut back to the inside kind of guy. Is Messi the GOAT? Obviously, Pele won 3 World Cups. The interesting thing about Messi winning this World Cup, obviously, is, Maradona, rest his soul. Is he better than Maradona? I think most people would say yes. I think the more interesting question is, can Mbappe catch Messi? I think he can. Now, a lot of experts will say no, right? Because Messi is truly one of one. I do think it's interesting, though, that, Mbappe did move himself closer to the Ronaldo Messi game conversation. And Mbappe's World Cup final, obviously, the Pele stands will come after me, but that was one of the best World Cup final performances of all time. So I would say Mbappe is the best player in the world. Yes. I've always liked Kylian Mbappe. I drive Haley crazy because I love his name. So I'm going to go Mbappe, the best player in the world. Cool. You can make a case for Kevin De Bruyne. You can make a case for a lot of people. Okay. How about Mo Salah? But I'm going to take my Liverpool bias out of it. Messi is the GOAT. I will say that. Messi is the GOAT. Also, if Messi had played for Spain in World Cups, how do you think that affects his career? So obviously, if he plays in Spain, he played his whole career at Barcelona. So, yeah, I mean, you don't travel as much maybe in that aspect. And if he does play for Barcelona, obviously, I know what you're saying, Rico. If he plays for Barcelona, he's playing alongside Xavi, Busquets, and Iniesta in the prime of his career. So if he's playing in that midfield in the prime of his career, it's hard to see them ever losing a World Cup because that is the greatest midfield combination of all time. And I don't think there will ever be a better midfield combination than that one. There are some other great ones, obviously, the Invincibles and all of that, but the greatest midfield of all time is Barcelona. So I do think it changes his career, but obviously Messi's connection to Argentina is a little bit different, right? Obviously I've always felt that Southern American international players have a closer tie to their national teams because European soccer is just bigger than like Southern American soccer. So you can make a case that Southern American stars are a little bit more closely tied to their country, as a lot of like European soccer fans, of course, England fans want to bring it back home and all those different things. But, the truth here is, yes, Messi definitely wins a World Cup if he plays for Spain. Spain probably wins 2 World Cups because of, the chemistry that he would have. Oh, yeah. Also, David Villa would have been on those teams as well. So, yeah, I mean, I guess, if he was Spanish, it would be a completely different trajectory of his career. But yeah, man, that would have been scary. I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad, there was a difference between like Barcelona, and also Mascherano played for those Barcelona teams and he was Argentine. So Messi did have that going for him in Barcelona. Um, so yeah, it is very interesting. You bring up that hypothetical. So yeah, I will say Messi at his peak for Barcelona was great. I do think the most underrated, thing that'll get lost in the history of soccer was the peak of Xavi and Iniesta with Messi, right? I think, that was just so special. It was truly one of a kind. It made me fall in love with this game even more. And it could just be that those were my younger years. And also, Rico, as you know, I got to actually attend a practice, and that changed the trajectory of my career at the moment, at that time. Was getting to go to a practice and see those guys. Messi and Mascherano weren't there, but all the other Barcelona stars were there. And I got to freaking talk to Iniesta, which I still shake all the time. So, what's up, Preston? Good to see you, man. So Rico, let me know if I answered your question okay. Once again, I went a little long there. Johnson would say, what is soccer? Great defensive game between Rustin and Desran. I've only watched Swinson and Shand, and I did it last night. So yeah, I think Shand's really good. I do. I like him better than Swinson, but obviously Swinson, you could make a case, feels a bigger need playing the jack. I thought Swinson was okay. Obviously, Shand, it is without doubt that he was a better player of the two of them. Shand's best game was the San Diego State game right out of the jump. It was really good. Forced a fumble late, took on blocks, made good tackles. And look, I'm based on reports, they want him to play the Ali Gay role. What's very interesting about the Ali Gay role is Shand is actually better fit to play the Ali Gay role than Ali Gay played the Ali Gay role, right? Because they asked Ali Gay to play some 4I5. 4I4 5. Yeah, well, it just depends on your numbering system. That's going to play some 4I and 4 this year, and it was it was an odd fit at first, but I thought Ali Gay played that role a little bit better than what I initially thought. And Shand, or Sean, however you pronounce his name, Paris. I love the name Paris Shand. It's good. Shout out to Canada. I thought it was. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good fit. I think Paris is gonna be a really good player. I do. Something else is very interesting though. Is like, I did this with Makai Wingo last year. I was like, okay, let me go look at his tape from Missouri, and it was okay. Like, it wasn't like, I know he was all freshman, but it was okay. And if you were to actually watch Wingo's tape versus Missouri, and then watch what we witnessed this year, it's not the same player. And I think one thing, more often than not, who you are as a player is who you are as a player. But there are instances of guys that truly do work really freaking hard and take their game to the next level. And Wingo obviously did just that. John Sibley got himself a PHL hoodie. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. That's cool. That's cool. I really appreciate you, man. And Doug Laborde, or Fog. Oh, I like it. So we actually got two orders in at the same time. Doug, even though you spelled your name Foug, Doug knows I appreciate you. Next time I'm in Pineville, we are going to hang out. Kevin, good to see you. I only speak American football. Hey, World Cup's coming. Oh, Tony. Tony just got himself some PHL merch. That's great. That's wonderful. Feeling good. Feeling great. Feeling great. Feeling good. How are you? That's good. All right, Carson. Thank you so much. This is a bizarre question. It's okay, Doug. It's still going to ship to the right location. So, Tony Crawford, appreciate you getting some PHO merch. Great night for the channel. I really appreciate you, each and every one of you. Oh, look at you, James. Dang, James, you're kind of tall, man. Goodness. Look at the gym photo. I like it. I want to shout out Carson. Anytime I get these big super chats, I'm always like, you guys don't know how happy it makes me. It really does. I don't even. But yeah, the soccer question. Yes, I'm down to talk soccer. So my soccer teammates, after the game, soccer does bring people together. It is unlike anything else. The only thing better than soccer is LSU football, for being honest. Okay. So I'm going to put a poll question up. Okay. Who would win in a 90s style pillow fight? Okay. LSU's offensive line, LSU's linebackers. No, so not a fist fight, a pillow fight. I'm surprised Pegasus kept his mouth shut during the soccer conversation. I guess it was because we were talking about Barcelona players and Real Madrid fans just can't handle it. And I get it. I absolutely get it. But I'm trying to think, I guess going back to Rico Singh before I answer this pillow fight question, why I guess you would have to say Mbappe is the best player in the world right now. I think you would have to say that. But God, there's so many other you can make a case Luka Modric and I mean probably not like now Luka Modric, but like prime Luka Modric is like crazy. Everybody, welcome Joseph to the channel. Joseph, good to see you. Jared, good to see you. Do I have a Devin White card? I've got a ton of Devin White cards. I don't actually. I do have a lot of like the current LSU stars. I have a lot of their cards, right? I don't think I have a lot of. I think I gave a lot of them out. So, who would win in a 90s slumber party pillow fight? I'm still the thing that's holding me up here, Carson. Let me know what you think, Carson. Would the pillow fight? I'm trying to understand what the 90s has to do with this. Like, someone answer this for me. Were pillow fights a thing in the 90s? Were there more people in the 90s that did pillow fights? Where's Pegasus? Let's go talk about Luka Modric. Kept his mouth shut during the Messi debate. I'm telling you, El Clasico is the best rivalry we have in sports. You just Googled 90s pillow fight. So Desmond Ricks moved this announcement to Friday. Interesting. I'd be okay with that. I thought it was Thursday. No, don't get me nervous with this. I was pretty certain it was Thursday. You can't be messing with me on this. Yeah, it still says Thursday, according to 247. Oh, so Rico, you're Real Madrid as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Thursday. Pretty sure it's Thursday. Pretty sure. Okay. Do not lead me astray. Anyone see Colin Simmons, 2024 defensive end? LA Mom is all ears on Desmond Ricks. I love it. So, all right, James, I've got to answer this unbelievable question from Carson. Okay. Who would win in a 90 style pillow fight? LSU's defensive line is winning 62% to 38%. I would probably go linebackers, right? They're a tougher target to hit. And obviously, the power generated by the defensive lineman would be greater. But I don't know. Carson, I am going to go with the linebackers. How about that? I'm going to go linebackers. Oh, that's what happened. Well, let me know what you think, Carson. Also, Carson told me that he is not really a tech guy, so he doesn't really type all that much. But I'm glad every time you type, you drop a $50 super chat. That always makes you feel good. So it is Thursday. I'm pretty sure it's Thursday. If it gets pushed back, we just got to wait. He holds all the keys to this. Will they be mixing in the tickling? The linebackers take it. I'm going to take the team with Harold Perkins. But yeah, I'm going to go linebackers. Type L for linebackers, type D for defensive line. I love super chats like this, just crazy hypotheticals. And it's not like all-time linebackers versus all-time defensive line. It's so Steve's gone linebackers. But BJ is technically a linebacker, even though he's an edge. So which side do the edge players go on? It's a good question. It's a really good question. Charlie, I love some people when they tune into this is always a very important thing. Okay. If you tune into a live stream, make sure your thing is clicked all the way over. Okay. Because if it's all the way over, you are live, right? There should be a little like live button and the dot says you're live. But if you pull up the live stream and your finger hits like midway through the live stream, you go to midway through the live stream. Carl, I'm coming to Dallas in a few weeks. Pretty excited about it. Well, what should we do? Where's Debbie? I'm kidding. The old schoolers know exactly what I'm referencing. But yeah. Yeah, I didn't mention this. Brett Bordelon, class of 2025. So he is a rising high school junior, right? He will be a junior next football season. So yeah, he's currently a sophomore. He committed to LSU tonight. There you go. Carson said, I appreciated the sign Ojolari card. Well, you deserved it, Carson. I love giving my autograph stuff out to some of our best viewers, and you are definitely one of those. And I appreciate your support. I really do. Are they wearing pajamas or nighties? I don't know. What are nighties? What is that? Carl, I feel fine. I do. Like, I think, like JAQUELIN Roy is a better player than those guys, but you can make a case 3 is better than 1. Now, all 3 of them play different positions. But yeah, anytime you get numbers, it's always a good thing. Those guys have played a lot of football, more so Shand than the others. But yeah, Swinson's played in big games. He was a part of the Ohio State upset in the shoe last year. So yeah. Yeah, Isaac Smith announcing tomorrow. Let's see, what does On 3 have to say about them? All right. On 3 has LSU in the lead. don't know. Then why is everybody saying he's going to pick Mississippi State tomorrow? That's a big one. I'm a big Colin Jackson believer. So you think he's going to Mississippi State? I don't know. All I know is like I haven't looked at Mississippi State's class, but it can't be a better defensive back class than what LSU's putting together, right? So yeah, it's just going to come down to preference and maybe other factors, So we'll see. Tulane's quarterback is returning. JT Daniels is now going to Rice, a former Georgia and West Virginia quarterback, and USC quarterback. So, Simper, I'm reading here from Ari Wasserman. Got word that there's going to be a big time quarterback flipping tomorrow. Get some sleep, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a wild ride. No, I'm not ready for that. I'm a wuss. Do we get close to 85? That's a good question, Steve. Like I still don't know whatever happened with the doc scholarships thing. Like I still don't know how that actually got divvied out. Um like I heard different things about it, but still, I hope we do. Obviously, it's better if we do. And that's part of, bringing in like Parishand and Swinson and those guys. If they don't pan out, it's not like we were pushing the 85 limit, right? Um, you got to keep in mind that there were a lot of players that just transferred from LSU. So I guess I need to go do a roster count right now. But LSU, what has had like 10 to 12 players hit the portal, if not more. Um, then you had obviously BJ go. You had JAQUELIN Roy go today. Jay Ward and a few others are going to the NFL. So yeah, I mean, you're signing a big high school class here, and you're getting some guys out of the portal, so their numbers should be fine. So yeah. Um, but no, this QB is not flipping from LSU or to LSU. It's just somewhere, right? The Dante Moore flip kind of sucked for us. It just did. Um, because we play UCLA in a few years. That's a little unfortunate, but it happens, right? Um, but we'll see how good Dante Moore is actually going to be. I know a lot of you thought a lot less of him when LSU fell off the radar. Doug, I'm telling you that would be the greatest flip of all time. Oh my God. That is so funny. I love that. Arch to Colorado. Oh my God, that would be the greatest thing. Peyton as OC. Let's go. I love it. TCU needing a quarterback. Look at that. Chandler Morris. I have no idea. I have no the Austin Novastad. I don't know. Let's see. Let me do some digging real quick. So I think in the end, it kind of works out because I don't just. Somebody lost their dog. One of my friends. A tale as old as time. The difference is Alabama's going to be good and Miami will not. Yeah, I think this is complicated. So it just depends. So let me share this with you. I like the Saints. They are my favorite NFL team. I want them to win. The Saints are a team that I don't love as much as I love LSU. I don't love them as much as I love the Pelicans. I don't love them as much as I love Liverpool. Those are my big three, and those will always be my three favorite teams. Okay. Part of it is that I can't watch the Saints because on Sundays, I'm doing film studies. That's part of it. So I do think, Mr. Go Tiger, something that's very important is that, yes, I would say probably a good 60 to 70% of LSU fans would also consider themselves Saints fans. Okay. I do not think the same is true vice versa. There are a lot of Saints fans that are also Alabama fans. There are a lot of Saints fans that are Ole Miss fans. Deuce McAllister, NFL proximity, a lot of those different things, right? The Saints are in New Orleans, and obviously LSU is in Baton Rouge, and a lot of people conflate the two. I do think some of it is, Louisiana has such strong culture, and Baton Rouge and New Orleans have, individual cultures about them. They are the only, big teams, football teams in the state. With the Pelicans, and obviously there's no MLB team. Also, obviously, the LSU fans have a deep connection to the Superdome, with, the Sugar Bowl victory over Notre Dame, but of course, more notably, the 4 national championship games. So, I do think there are some LSU fans that feel some type of way about, well, Drew shouldn't have picked this game. There's 1,000 different games Drew Brees can be a guest analyst or whatever his official capacity is. Well, he doesn't know that. There could be a brand new coach coming into Purdue, and they do have one, Ryan Walters. That may not want him to do that if when he's a head coach. So this was an opportunity for Drew to get to do something that he wanted to do. He gave a speech to the team the very first game of the season, so at least the current team is familiar. I know we had Drew Brees for a practice. That wasn't anything spectacular. It was just a legend visiting the practice, and I would argue that was really good for our program. So, yeah, I know it's complicated. I know we had those legendary photos of Joe Burrow and Drew Brees, before the championship game. Both wore number 9. As you can see, I have a Drew Brees card up there. I don't think any less of him coaching versus us. I hope nobody does. It's not anti-LSU. The Saints LSU thing is always going to be a thing. I don't think it's any of that. But, for me, I honestly, Mr. Tigers, I really don't care. Like, I just don't. There's not a piece of my Saints fandom that is bothered by this. I'll tell you this, Mr. Go Tigers, what bothers me a little bit more, and I'm not mad at him for doing it, but it was kind of weird seeing Zach Mettenberger be an Alabama analyst. I thought that's a little bit different, but yeah, I want Drew to do what he feels is best for him. I'll also say, and like, no one should feel sympathy for Drew Brees, but this post career has been a little tough for him, right? This is a guy who, it came out that his coach was plotting to go coach one of Drew's rivals, Tom Brady, with a new team. I think Drew would feel some type of way about that. Oh, yeah, Tom Brady is Drew's, contemporary, right? Who ended Drew Brees' career? Well, it was Tom Brady. And then obviously Drew didn't like the broadcasting assignments. Who would like flying to South Bend, Indiana to call games every week when, Tom Brady gets a Fox Sports deal? There's a lot of people that got better broadcasting deals than Drew Brees. So, yeah, Drew wants to coach. So I'm gonna pull for him, except in this game. Why would the Baylor quarterback go to Oregon with Bo Nix returning? That's exactly why he would go, because the Oregon true freshman quarterbacks, if I was a true freshman, obviously, I'd want to play, but I'm not sure playing the first year would be where I'd want to go. I'd want to sit the bench and see how everything operates. But yeah, if you are a true freshman quarterback and you want to play, I don't think you would want to go to Oregon, where Bo Nix is a really good starter there. So it's an interesting, thing, Doug. So yeah, it just depends on what that quarterback wants to do. Now, here's what we're going to do. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to answer as many questions as we possibly can. If I cannot get it answered, actually I can, but if you super chat, we'll keep this thing going. Once again, I'm getting up really early to do radio in South Carolina tomorrow, so kind of do need to go to bed, but I'll answer as many questions as we possibly can. We've been floating around 200 people. We still got 97 people in here. I'll let you know you're a super diehard LSU football fan, and also know that is something that I truly, truly do appreciate. I never take you, whoever you are, whichever 100th viewer you are, whether you're watching this on a big screen and you don't chat, or if you're a chat pro, or if you're a super chatter, I love each and every one of you. I'm very blessed to have started Power Hour LSU many years ago and get the chance to do it. Okay. Pierce Clarkson, the Louisville quarterback, I could see it. Obviously, a lot has changed. I think that was the flip. Yeah, Pierce Clarkson, he's committed to Louisville. Very interesting. I can see it. His on 3 meter is only at 50%, and he's committed there. Oregon's at 22.9%. Very interesting. Tomorrow night we will be live at 8:05. So our normal time, and Thursday we'll be live at 8:05 again. Sean, thank you. I appreciate you. Pegasus says, can you rank the playoff quarterbacks? Interesting. Duggan, McCarthy, Stetson, and Stroud. Interesting. I actually saw a really good chart from Cover 2 Analytics comparing all of them. It depends on, are you asking me who do I want to build an NFL team around? Or I've always not been a big Stroud guy. It's just, me. Let me think. So last year, the playoff quarterbacks are who? Young, Ritter, Stetson, and Cade McNamara, right? And then the year before was the Rona year. So that was Mac, Trevor, Fields, and Ian Book. So 2019 was Joe, Jalen, Justin, and Trevor. So it's ironic you bring this on. And the reason why I'm listening to that is because the quarterbacks have regressed in terms of like the totality of them. I find that to be very interesting now that I think about it. But that doesn't mean these quarterbacks are bad. I think these quarterbacks are better than, I don't know. I'm not really going to talk myself into saying Stetson Bennett is the best quarterback of these four, because I know I would get bashed on Twitter for that and be called biased SECer. But obviously you would say McCarthy is the least of those four because he was the one that didn't actually make it to New York. Stroud obviously Stroud would be the consensus best, and most NFL teams would say that they would take Stroud. I would say Duggan's been the best of the four. I would say so. I'd say Duggan has been the best. He's obviously, he is the most valuable of the four. So yeah, I would say Duggan 1, Stroud 2, Stetson 3, McCarthy 4. But I do think Stetson's peaks have been better than the other peaks. Now, Duggan's Kansas State game was legendary. I know they lost, but it was really good. So yeah, I think that's it. Let's go to John here. John, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. What non-CFB games are you looking forward to watching the most? I think this was pretty easy for me, John. It's got to be Clemson and Tennessee, right? You have two stylistically different teams. You got two stylistically different coaches. and two of the rare orange teams in college football. It's kind of strange. Yeah, I'm interested what Joe Milton looks like in this spot. So yeah, I'm going to go with that one. I also think there's some other interesting bowl matchups, so I'm going to go with that one, John. I really appreciate you. Am I doing my show Christmas Eve? I'm going to let you decide it right now, LA Mom. I'm going to let you decide it. Am I going to do a Christmas Eve show? You guess what, LA Mom? You get to control PHL. You. I haven't even thought this far. So she says no. Looks like we're not doing a show. Just who do you see starting week 1 on the O-line next year? That's a good question. I think it's going to be the same what it is right now, which is obviously better than what we started with, to start this year. Okay, so LA Mom says selfishly she would say yes. Okay, well then that answer the question. DJ Uiagalelei has a crystal ball to Hawaii. That would be nuts. Hey, it worked for RIP Colt Brennan. I am 2, and it's actually hurt me a few times on this channel. But that's not here nor there. Now, we are going to wrap this thing on up. I really appreciate this. Was one of our best merch nights in quite some time. I really do thank each and every one of you. And if it is in your heart's desire to get a very last second Christmas gift, PowerHourLSU.com is the place to get it. Once again, if you buy, you really support me. Also, patreon.com/LSU football is a place to go get my exclusive LSU content. I should have done a better job of sharing this, but I do have a post up about Walker Howard's situation. I share a few thoughts on what I've heard about Walker's situation. So patreon.com/LSU football. Okay. It is Power Hour LSU. Bam. And tonight, we're doing some pizza, Detroit style. Let's go. Let's go.